Let's explore today's mystery, and you will have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before the video ends. The Golden Tongue Mummy of Taposiris Magna. The air was thick with dust and the scent of ancient decay as archaeologists descended into the shadowed burial shafts of Taposiris Magna, Egypt, in January 2021. Torches flickered, casting jagged shadows on crumbling stone walls. Beneath Alexandria's sun-scorched sands, where whispers of Cleopatra's lost tomb lingered, the ground seemed to hum with secrets. They found her, a 2,000-year-old mummy, her wrappings brittle but intact, lying in a shaft carved for gods. Her mouth gleamed with a golden tongue, an amulet shimmering in the torchlight. Why was it there? Was she meant to speak to Osiris in the afterlife? The eerie silence of the tomb offered no answers, only the weight of something watching. 16 other shafts hid more mummies, but none bore this strange, gilded mark. Dr. Kathleen Martinez, leading the University of Santo Domingo team, knelt beside the mummy, her hands trembling. The Egyptian ministry reported the golden tongue was unique, a ritual artifact for divine communication. Yet, the team's tools faltered, batteries drained, lights flickered, as if the tomb resisted their probes. Martinez whispered of Cleopatra, her tomb still elusive. Each shaft they opened revealed more questions. Who was this woman? Why was she chosen? Locals spoke of voices in the desert, murmurs in a language no one knew. One worker swore the mummy's eyes followed him in the dark. Was it Osiris, guarding his sacred ground? Or Cleopatra's spirit, warning intruders? The golden tongue seemed to pulse, as if still speaking to something beyond. The tomb remains unsealed, its depths unexplored. What else lies in Taposiris Magna's shadows? Does Cleopatra's spirit watch, her secrets locked in gold? The desert keeps its silence, but the mummy's voice haunts those who dare to dig. The Ice Age footprints of White Sands. In 2019, the winds howled across White Sands National Park, New Mexico, where gypsum dunes glowed under a blood-red sunset. The air carried a chill, not just from the desert night, but from something ancient stirring beneath the sand, a presence that had walked 23,000 years ago. Archaeologist David Bustos stumbled upon them. Human footprints, etched in fossilized mud, stark against the pale dunes. They stretched for miles, a ghostly trail from the Ice Age. Some prints were small, a child's, others bore the weight of adults carrying burdens. Why were they here, when glaciers should have blocked their path? The eerie precision of each step suggested urgency, as if fleeing something unseen. An international team, publishing in Science, 2021, carbon-dated grass seeds in the sediment, confirming the print's age, 23,000 years. This shattered theories of human migration. Bustos and his team worked under flickering lanterns, their tools sinking into the soft earth as if pulled. One researcher claimed the wind carried whispers of ancient voices. Cyprian Ardalayan, an outside expert, called it the biggest discovery in a century. But what drove these people across an icy wasteland? Night after night, the team felt watched. Equipment failed inexplicably. Shadows moved where no one stood. Locals spoke of spirits trapped in the dunes, their footsteps a warning. Were these prints a record of survival, or a flight from something monstrous? The child's tiny tracks, halting abruptly, hinted at a story cut short. The dunes still shift, hiding more prints, perhaps more truths. What chased those ancient travelers? Their footsteps echo in the sand, a chilling reminder that something from the Ice Age may still linger, waiting. The Crucified Man of Finstanton. In 2017, the fog clung low to Finstanton's fields, England, where Roman graves whispered of forgotten cruelty. The soil smelled of iron and decay as archaeologists unearthed bones under a moonless sky. A faint metallic glint in the dirt stopped their breath, a nail driven through a human heel. The skeleton was unremarkable at first, a man, 25 to 35, with worn teeth and arthritic joints. But the nail, lodged in his right heel, told a brutal story. Found in a 1,900-year-old Roman settlement, there was rare evidence of crucifixion, announced in British Archaeology, 2022. 12 nails surrounded him, suggesting a board, not a coffin. Was he a criminal, a rebel, or a sacrifice to a darker rite. Albion Archaeology's team worked feverishly, their tools scraping against the cold earth. The nail's placement was deliberate, piercing bone at an angle to maximize pain. Researchers found only 3 other such cases worldwide. The man's grave, unlike others, was shallow, as if hidden. Workers reported unease, a sense of being watched. One swore the nail vibrated under their touch, as if still holding a scream. Villagers whispered of Roman ghosts, their cries carried on the wind. The nail, rusted but intact, seemed to pulse with residual agony. Was it cursed, binding the man's soul to the earth? The team's lights flickered, and shadows danced where no one stood. Something lingered in Finstanton, something that hated the light. The skeleton rests in a lab, but the nail's weight haunts those who touched it. What crime warranted such torment? Does the crucified man's spirit still roam Finstanton's fields, seeking justice or revenge? The subterranean city of Maciate. In April 2022, the caves of Mardin, Turkey, exhaled a damp, earthen chill. Torchlight barely pierced the darkness as archaeologists ventured into a labyrinth beneath the Midyat district. The air thrummed with an ancient pulse, as if the stone itself breathed. They found Maciate, the largest underground city ever discovered, its corridors stretching into blackness. Dating to the 2nd century CE, it held silos, wells, and places of worship, carved for 60,000 souls. Why did they hide here? The Daily Sabah reported it as a Christian refuge from Roman persecution. But the eerie silence and shadowed altars hinted at rituals too dark to name. Ghani Tarkhan, Mardin Museum director, led the excavation, his team navigating tunnels where footsteps echoed unnaturally. They found carvings of crosses, but also older, stranger symbols. Tools malfunctioned, compasses spun wildly. Tarkhan spoke of a city built in fear, its inhabitants fleeing something more than Rome. One worker claimed to hear chanting from sealed chambers, faint but unending. Locals whispered of a presence in the caves, a force that guarded Maciate's secrets. Shadows moved against the walls, vanishing when approached. Some said the city was a prison, not a refuge, trapping something ancient and wrathful. The altars, stained with unknown offerings, suggested sacrifices to appease it. Maciate's depths remain uncharted, its tunnels sealed by time. What drove thousands underground? Was it Rome's soldiers, or something older, still lurking in the dark? The caves whisper to those who enter, and none leave unchanged. The Zeus Casio's Temple of Pelusium. In April 2022, the Sinai Peninsula's sands burned under an unrelenting sun, the air heavy with salt and secrets. At Pelusium, Egypt, where pharaohs once built fortresses, the ground trembled as if stirred by an ancient god. Fallen granite columns loomed like the bones of a forgotten world. Archaeologists uncovered a temple to Zeus Casios, a fusion of Greek and Syrian deities, announced by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. Pink granite pillars, toppled by an ancient earthquake, guarded a staircase to nowhere. Inscriptions linked the site to Emperor Hadrian, but the temple's eerie aura suggested older, darker worship. Why was it built here, in a land of pharaohs? The team, digging through collapsed stone, felt the weight of unseen eyes. The Jerusalem Post noted the temple's religious multiculturalism, but strange symbols carved into the granite hinted at rituals beyond Zeus. Workers reported tools vanishing, only to reappear stained with red dust. One archaeologist swore to the ground and whispered Hadrian's name, as if summoning him back. Locals spoke of a presence in Pelusium, a force tied to the mountain god Casios. The earthquake that felled the temple, was it divine wrath? Shadows lingered in the ruins, moving against the wind. Some said the temple wasn't a shrine but a seal, holding something ancient at bay. The temple staircase descends into unexcavated darkness. What lies beneath Pelusium's sands? Does Zeus Casios still watch, his power unbroken by time? The ruins hum with a warning, some gods never sleep. The Viking ship of Jelestad. In 2018, the fields of Jelestad, Norway, lay silent under a frostbitten dawn. The Gel Mound, a vast burial ground, smelled of wet earth and ancient wood. Ground-penetrating radar hummed, revealing a shadow beneath the soil, a Viking ship, its timbers whispering of death. The 60-foot ship, found 20 inches below a farm field, was a royal tomb, likely for a Viking king or queen. Nearby, a feasting hall and possible cult house emerged, announced in Antiquity, 2020. The structures loomed like ghosts of a lost elite. Why were they buried here, hidden beneath mundane fields? The ship's outline suggested a hurried burial, as if sealing a secret. The Norwegian Institute for Cultural Heritage Research, led by Lars Gustafsson, mapped the site, their equipment faltering in the cold. The cult house's strange carvings, runes, and unknown symbols hinted at forbidden rites. Workers felt a chill unrelated to the frost. One claimed to hear laughter from the mound. The ship's wood, preserved but brittle, seemed to resist their touch. Locals whispered of Draugr, undead Vikings guarding their graves. Shadows flickered in the radar scans, shapes that vanished when checked. Was the cult house a temple to appease a restless spirit? The ship's prow, carved with a snarling beast, seemed to watch the team, daring them to dig deeper. The mound hides more secrets, its depths untouched. Who was buried in that ship? Does their spirit still rule Jelistad's fields, angry at the disturbance? The runes whisper warnings, and the frost feels alive with their curse. The sealed coffins of Saqqara. In September 2020, the Saqqara necropolis in Egypt's desert exhaled a dry, suffocating heat. 36 feet below, in a shaft carved from limestone, the air grew colder, heavier. Archaeologists' lanterns flickered as they uncovered a stack of sealed coffins, their painted faces staring into the dark. 13 wooden coffins, 2,500 years old, were piled atop one another, untouched by time, announced by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. Their vibrant paint, reds, blues, and golds, gleamed unnaturally. Who were these dead, sealed so tightly? Why were they stacked like offerings? The shaft's silence was oppressive, broken only by faint scratches from within. The team, trembling, refused to open the coffins, fearing what lay inside. The ministry's Facebook post hinted at more coffins behind sealed niches. Workers reported tools slipping from their hands, as if pushed. One archaeologist swore she saw a coffin's painted eyes blink. The necropolis, vast and ancient, seemed to resent their presence, its shadows shifting with intent. Locals whispered of a curse in Saqqara, a guardian spirit angered by intruders. The coffin's seals, unbroken for millennia, felt like barriers against something malevolent. Was it the dead, trapped and restless? Or something older, sealed with them? A worker claimed to hear a voice chanting in the dark, promising retribution. The coffins remain unopened, their secrets locked. What lies within Saqqara's depths? Do the painted faces watch, waiting for the seals to break? The necropolis holds its breath, and those who leave feel its gaze on their backs. The lost sacristy of Westminster Abbey. In 2020, London's Westminster Abbey loomed under a moon shrouded in mist. The north lawn, silent but for the wind's low moan, hid a secret. As archaeologists dug, the earth yielded bones and broken stone, smelling of damp plaster and forgotten prayers. They uncovered the 13th century Great Sacristy, destroyed in the 1700s, its foundations intact. Nearby, monks' bones lay in a forgotten burial ground, announced by Westminster Abbey. A basin, still stained, and hand-painted plaster fragments hinted at sacred rites. Why was this holy place abandoned? The air grew heavy, as if the monks' chants lingered. The team, led by Abbey archaeologists, worked under flickering floodlights. The sacristy, built by Henry III, held chalices and vestments once. But the bones told a darker story. Some were broken, as if buried in haste. Workers reported cold spots, their breaths visible despite the summer heat. One swore the basin's water rippled without touch, reflecting a face not theirs. Locals spoke of monks' spirits, bound to the abbey by vows or curses. The plaster fragments, painted with saints, seemed to watch the dig. Was the sacristy's destruction deliberate, hiding a sin? Shadows moved in the lawn's corners, and tools were found misplaced, as if moved by unseen hands. The sacristy's ruins lie exposed, but the monks' bones whisper unrest. What secrets did they bury? Do their spirits guard the abbey still, their prayers now cursed? The north lawn feels alive, and no one digs alone at night. The Cleopatra-linked mummies of Taposiris Magna. In July 2020, the ruins of Taposiris Magna, Egypt, stood silent under a starless sky. The air smelled of salt and ancient stone as archaeologists entered a tomb, its entrance carved with serpents. A chill wrapped around them, as if Cleopatra herself watched. They found two mummies, a man and woman, 2,000 years old, covered in gold leaf, filmed for Channel 5's The Hunt for Cleopatra's Tomb. Their opulence suggested they knew the queen. Were they her priests, her allies? The tomb's walls bore strange marks, hinting at rituals tied to a lost royal grave. Dr. Glenn Godenho, an Egyptologist, led the team, their lanterns casting shadows like coiled snakes. The mummies' gold leaf gleamed, but their faces seemed to shift in the light. The tomb was only partially explored, yet tools failed, and whispers echoed from unopened chambers. Godenho speculated they were close to Cleopatra's tomb, but something felt wrong, as if the mummies guarded a deadly secret. Locals spoke of a curse, Cleopatra's spirit protecting her resting place. One worker claimed to see a woman's shadow, her eyes burning with rage. Were the mummies sentinels, bound by magic to shield their queen? The air grew thick, and the team's dreams were haunted by serpents. Taposiris Magna hides more tombs, unopened and waiting. Do these mummies guard Cleopatra's grave, or something darker? Her shadow lingers, and those who dig feel her gaze, a warning that some secrets are meant to stay buried. The 16th century shipwreck of northern Italy. In February 2020, the sea off northern Italy churned black under a storm's wrath. Divers Gabriele Succi and Edoardo Sperani plunged into the depths, the water cold as death. At 50 meters, their lights caught a glint, wooden planks, half buried, whispering of a lost ship. The hull, traced to the 16th century, was confirmed by Italy's archaeology superintendency. Was it the Santo Spirito and Santa Maria di Loreto, a merchant vessel lost in 1579? Its timbers, encrusted with barnacles, seemed to groan. Why did it sink so close to shore? The sea felt alive, hiding answers in its depths. The underwater carabinieri joined the divers, their equipment faltering in the murky water. The hull size suggested a massive ship, laden with riches. But no cargo was found, only shadows that darted past their lights. One diver swore he heard a bell tolling below, though no bell was found. The team speculated the ship was cursed, its sinking no accident. Fishermen whispered of a sea spirit, claiming ships for its own. The wreck's planks, unnaturally preserved, seemed to pulse under touch. Was it sabotage, a storm, or something that pulled the ship under? Divers reported a presence, watching from the dark, its weight pressing on their chests. The wreck lies untouched, its cargo a mystery. What doomed the Santo Spirito? Does its crew's spirit haunt the depths, guarding their lost treasure? The sea keeps its secrets, and divers return with fear in their eyes, unwilling to dive again. Feel free to leave your comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more mysteries like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.